Good afternoon, folks. I just want to make sure that everyone's here. I'm going to give you a quick intro here. My name is Eric Paillet. I'm the director here, marketing director here at Runner Technologies, and today Kevin Runner, the CEO of Runner Technologies, will be presenting on Clean Address for Banner. Thank you first for all taking the time to join us for our presentation on Clean Address for Banner, and hopefully we'll be able to accomplish the goals of reducing the costs at your institutions. Runner Technologies has been in business for over 15 years and is well established as a leader in address verification in higher education. As you can see from this slide, there are over 400 Banner institutions benefiting from the use of Clean Address. Why choose Runner Technologies and Clean Address for your institution? We have a direct integration into Banner for both real-time data entry as well as for batch processing and national change of address processing for your institution. This is a product that isn't matched within our industry, and I believe that you'll see through the demonstrations that we'll present later how easy it is to use our product within Banner. The ease of use from our product means that there is no training involved for functional users, and the reporting allows you to be more efficient. As our current customers can attest, our support is available 24 hours a day, and they will assist you with whatever needs you may have with our product. You'll be able to realize almost immediate return on investment from reduced mail returns, wasted time for correcting or looking for correct addresses, and have the ability to standardize your addresses through the use of Clean Address. Our customers range from the FTE sizes of 600 all the way up to 50,000. Now, to discuss Clean Address further, I'd like to introduce Kevin Runner, the CEO of Runner Technologies.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thanks for participating today. There is a question chat section on the webinar, so if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put the questions in either in the chat or the question section. I'd like to first start off with just a quick little poll, just to see the functional areas that are represented today. So first of all is a functional question. So if you could just select on your slide there what functional area you're in. We have admissions, student records, finance, HR, and admissions. Okay. Looks like the totals are still coming in. Great. So it looks like about over half of them, the attendees, are student records. Quarter of them are advancement area. Some in finance, financial aid. I forgot to include another in there, so I apologize if your section isn't represented. Okay, it looks like advancement is kind of caught up with student records, so we have a real good mix there today. Well, great, thank you for that. Also, just for one other poll here, if you don't mind, I just wanted to see the so we can kind of tailor the presentation today. I want to see if you're more interested in a functional presentation, technical, or both. So we have some kind of game time decisions we can make. We can kind of tailor it more for the functional side if need be. We'll see what the audience picks here. And it looks like we're getting a good combination. About 70% saying both, 20% saying functional, and 8% saying technical. So a good variety mix. Looks like some results are still coming in. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and get started here. Again, my name is Kevin Runner with Runner Technologies. I started Runner Technologies back in 1997. We've specialized in quite a few different products over the years, but really today we're going to be talking about our address verification solution for Banner and how Clean Address integrates into that. We're going to give you just a general overview and some good just industry knowledge of what address verification is and what it means to you and how it can benefit your institution, and then jump into some live demos so you can see what this actually looks like in the Banner product. And then we'll jump into a technical discussion of the architecture and implementation, and then have some time for questions and answer at the end. Okay, so as Eric had mentioned just briefly, we've been in higher education for quite a few years, started in 1997. Altogether, we have over 600 customers using Clean Address. I just wanted to mention one other thing as well. We also have another higher education specific product called SurveyDig, which specializes in online course evaluations. So this can replace your paper-based course evaluation system or maybe a homegrown online course evaluation system with a industry enterprise version that we have called SurveyDig. We have quite a few schools using that very successfully. So let's first start off with some questions. What is address verification, and what does that mean? So it's the process of taking an address as is, verifying it if it's deliverable, correcting it if necessary, and then standardizing it into your institutional data standards. So we'll have some other slides on this in a minute. But the big goal here is to make a consistent format for your address no matter how it's coming in. We look at address checking within an institution as a holistic problem. You have data coming in from all sorts of different data streams. You have data already in your system, maybe 600,000 records in your Spratter table inside Banner, that you want like to clean up those on an ongoing basis because the post office database is constantly changing. Oh, you're not seeing the slides? Oh, I do apologize. It looks like we weren't seeing the some of the slides there. You should be seeing this. Let's see. You should be seeing the slides now. I do apologize about that. I think we just kind of covered the about page. So here's what is address verification. We are going to provide a full copy of the presentation after the webinar as well. So again, the address verification takes the address as is, verifies it, corrects it if necessary, and standardizes it. So about 14 to 20% of the time, the address may have some sort of error associated with it, some deliverability error. And there we provide a suggestion list or error list to help the user pick the correct solution. It's just a warning to the user, so it's not going to halt the data entry process, but it's basically just going to give the user some suggestions to help them provide a good address to the system. Because the best way to correct an address is at the point of entry. So going back to what I was saying earlier, we take a holistic approach to it. You have data already in your system, which we can clean up in batch mode. You have about 21 different Banner forms and about 6 different web self-service processes that are collecting addresses. You have SAT, ACT test scores that are pumping in addresses from their test scoring systems. Your applicant data is coming in, so it's coming in from all these different areas. So we're not providing a solution just for one department. It's an enterprise solution that addresses every area in Banner, from web, Banner INB, and batch processing to provide a complete solution for the entire enterprise. Okay, so let's first start off with just a little example. The data in your system may look something like this, or may look worse, or maybe a little better. But depending on how your data, where your data is coming from, and if you have done any sort of scrubbing effort in the past, you may have an address that's spelled, I like to say 6 different ways to Sunday. Maybe something's misspelled. Maybe the directional is in the wrong location. Maybe the correct unit designator isn't present before the address. So the goal of Clean Address is to take addresses like this and provide one consistent view of the address after it's been verified. So every one of these examples, even though the city is misspelled or the zip code is inconsistent, will produce one consistent standard. Now, when we're talking about standards, you actually have your choice in the institution how you want to format your addresses according to your data standards. You may have a data standards committee that dictates, well, the advancement office likes to have a more formalized address, like this last example where it's spelling out the words north, highway, and suite. Or you may want to have just more of a post office abbreviation standard, like you see in address number 2. But there's a lot of choices to be made there. There's not just a one-size-fits-all. You can choose where your apartment number goes, whether or not to spell out the directional or the street suffix, whether or not to include the zip +4 or just a 5-digit zip code, all these different questions. But really the choice is up to you. We provide the extensibility of Clean Address to be able to make those decisions at real-time and batch. You can also break this down by address type, so you can have different rules based on different address types. You can even skip address verification for certain address types like campus addresses and dorm rooms where that data may not be present in the post office database. So some of the benefits of having address verification in your system, not only really improving your data quality is kind of the biggest benefit there. We actually have 4 different components in the Clean Address suite. We have address, name, phone, and email, and we have some level of validation for each of those components. Speeding up the data entry time is important, but the biggest issue is having fewer errors in the system. and errors can cause all sorts of issues after the fact with return mail. So reducing your cost of mailing is a big dollar savings factor. Faster mail delivery. Institutions have reported about a 2 orders of magnitude reduction in return mail. So to put some numbers behind that, if you had 3,000 pieces of return mail on a given period, that number could be reduced down to 30. So that's quite significant. So people who have to deal with this, they'll really be thanking you for integrating a product like this, because dealing with those big plastic bins of mail coming in and having to work through them one at a time to resolve it, is an issue. So saving and those pieces of mail that get returned definitely would probably have to be sent out again, so you save time in tracking down those bad addresses and those individuals and correcting them. Also allowing end users to do their own self-service updates on the web. A lot of institutions have prevented their students from putting addresses in on the web because they were concerned about the data quality issues. When a student's putting their address in on the web and there's no hooks or checks in place, they can put it in all uppercase, all lowercase. We heard of one case where the student did every other letter uppercase and lowercase. It's really a free-for-all. So with Clean Address now, you're making sure that the address is going to be standardized and confirmed as deliverable. And you can either force it to be deliverable or just give a warning to the individual. Okay, so there was a Gartner study that basically stated that on average, databases without address verification contain about 14 to 22% of undeliverable addresses. So the different departments that can really benefit from this, we really see it as across-the-board solution. So recruitment and admissions, student records, that was a big population today. Advancement was another big population in attendance today. HR, you're probably running through some W-2s issues right now. So if the W-2s that are going out and the person is moved or the address was not deliverable to begin with, those pieces of mail will come back, and the institution has to do its due diligence to correct that address with the federal government now for that W-2 and reinstate those W-2s. So it's kind of a pain to deal with. Accounts receivable, you can use this for credit card transactions. Accounts payable, if you're in the financial aid department, dealing with financial aid checks that are non-deliverable, that's money that's intended for the student. And again, you have to do due diligence to try to find out where that person is residing at. Okay, so why is mail non-deliverable? Why do people make mistakes? Well, I can't answer why people make mistakes, but I can tell you why mail is non-deliverable. It could be missing some components, like the apartment number is missing, the directional is missing or invalid, or the street suffix could be invalid. So take 123 Main Street. Well, if it was supposed to be North Main Street or North Main Avenue, the address, Clean Address can automatically correct those type of errors. So if you have inconsistent components or the address is misspelled, as this word is as well. So misspellings can be corrected automatically with Clean Address. It has a very strong phonetic engine in there, and it is a CAS certified solution as well with the post office database. So every address is being certified through this CAS certified engine to make sure that we're not going to give a false positive or false negative. Another reason the mail could be non-deliverable is if the person has moved over a year ago. And that's where national change of address processing comes into play, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But for all intents and purposes, the Clean Address engine basically is concentrating on these first 3 bullets, missing components, invalid components, and misspellings. And then the second part of this would be the standardization, formatting it to your standard for your school. We have name parsing and checking built in, and for the essence of time, we included these slides in here because you're going to get a copy of the presentation afterwards, but I'm not going to go through all the bullets on here. I want to make sure we have plenty of time for the demos and some questions and answers at the end. But we do have name parsing and checking, telephone checking, which I'm going to show in the demo, and email address validation, which checks the email domain. And we'll show that here in the demo. But let's first talk about the integration approach, because there's several address verification vendors out there. But Clean Address is the only one that has a real-time seamless integration right inside the Banner forms and Banner web self-service processes and tables in the back end for batch processing. So the seamless integration, as we're running technologies, has really carved its niche. That's so we have for the real-time seamless integration in the Banner forms, there's about 21 forms altogether. It'll correct and validate the address at the point of entry as you're typing it in, as you'll see here in a minute. It's done automatically without user intervention, so that really leads to very minimal user training that's required, because it's they're using the same form that they used yesterday, or web page, if you will. It's just that some extra checking is actually going on when they're putting that address in. And the second bullet point here is important. The user is only notified when there's when the address is non-deliverable with a suggestion list that comes up. So that'll happen, like Gartner says, maybe 14 to 22% of the time that an address is non-deliverable, and they'll see that list. The integrated batch verification, it basically takes a group of addresses at a time against, there's about 13 different tables in Banner that store address information, and we have a batch verification for every one of those. It'll take all the addresses and verify them in bulk, update them directly right inside the database. So what that means from a DBA or technical perspective is you don't need to extract the data and then import it back in. We also identify all the bad records or invalid addresses or unclean addresses, if you will, with a status code that indicates the reason why it was marked as non-deliverable. And you'll see those error codes here in a little bit as well. So now it's actually demo time. And let me open up our demo page here. I'm going to first start off with the address block. So what we're looking at here is the Spaden form, the general person for student. Now I will say this is not a full copy of the Banner installation. This is basically just a copy of this one form, just a skeleton version of the form, but it shows you what the integration looks like. So we'll first start out by putting in the address information. We'll choose a primary address type here. You may not have house number and street line 4 in your implementation. These are more for international addresses. We'll first start off by putting a simple address in, 6530 West Rogers, number 31. Now, I missed some components there, and I didn't specify whether it was an apartment or a suite or unit. I'm just going to come down to the postal code field here and enter the wrong zip code, 33431, which is the wrong zip code, but you see as I tab out of there, it's enough to fully verify the address. So what it did is it added did the correct capitalization for the address. I entered it in all lowercase. It added the circle, changed the number sign to a suite because that's what the correct unit designator is there. Added the city, the state, the county. Now with the county, you may have different formats for your county inside Banner. This is a reference table, which means that we have to put the county code in the right format that your Banner installation has. Some schools just have counties for their one state, or you can have counties for the entire U.S. We can support either format. We can even help you migrate from a single state set of counties to the entire U.S. set of counties for U.S. addresses. This is an international solution, so it does work for global addresses as well, all 240 countries and territories. That is one of the product options in there. I'm going to basically concentrate on the U.S. addresses since that's the base of the callers today. Let's enter another address in here. I'm going to enter an address with all numbers in it, 2393 49th, and zip code 33432. Also the incorrect zip code, but the right zip code for that city. So again, with that just minimal information, it's able to fully verify that address. You also notice there's some other fields off to the right, the delivery point, correction digit, and carrier route. And I've been told that there's a little bit of a delay in the slides as I'm navigating through. So I do apologize about that. I'll try to pause a little bit as I'm navigating through to give the screens a chance to catch up. Now, there is an override address verification checkbox that we've added to the screens. That gives the Banner Forms or INB user complete control, basically. So you can enter an address with a deliverability error, and it'll still save it. It'll actually store that error code on the address. But this override address verification would be used mainly for vanity purposes. So if you wanted to force the apartment down to address line 2 for whatever reason, and maybe you want to make sure the address fits on a W-2 label for mailing addresses purposes, then you can use the override to override the formatting that's going on there. Now the address type here as well, this will control your address standard. So if I change the address type to alumni, you see that it actually changes the formatting of the address, makes it more formal address. So it changes LN to lane. Let's try this in a different example, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when you do have an error associated with it. So we'll do the 1515 Federal Highway, number 305, and I'll misspell the city, Boca Raton, Florida. So it should be Boca Raton. So as I tab out of that field now, I'm going to get a suggestion list saying it did fix Boca Raton in Florida, and it did come up with the address, but now it's saying it should be South Federal Highway, and here are all the unit numbers that exist there. So we open up this and say, okay, it's actually unit number 100. So that's a suggestible, clickable suggestion list that comes up. Again, only when you have a non-deliverable situation would show that suggestion list and give the user an opportunity to pick one of those options. Okay. Okay. So the other components we have, that's the address piece. We actually check the telephone number as well. Now, what we can do with the telephone number is automatically put in the area code. If the if I put in the 3-digit prefix and last portion of the phone number, so the 7-digit phone number, it'll automatically add the area code if it's not present, if it's mapped in the database. And also, if you have a incorrect area code like 555, it'll give you a bad area code coming back, indicating that that phone number is incorrect. Now, it's not checking to see if that's the correct phone number for that address or the phone number for that individual, but so it's checking each of these components individually. But at least it's some type of validation to say that this data doesn't look like it's consistent. Now, a lot of new users to Banner like to put the phone number in all 3 fields. So they'll put the phone number, in the phone number field, they'll put the first 3 digits. And then in the extension, they'll try to put the last 4 digits. And immediately it's telling me that there's too many or too few digits that are coming up. So if I put in the last 4 digits here in the extension field, it'll merge that in with the phone number again. Okay. Let's go on to the person slide. Give it just a second to catch up here. So with the person, we have we can put in we'll put in McDonald III, PhD, and Dr. John for the first name. As I tab out of there, what the name parsing does, parses the names into the correct components and does the correct capitalization on the different components. So in this case, it took the prefix of doctor, put the suffix in there with third PhD, kept the last name and the first name alone. If the first name was misspelled, like J-O-N-H, it'll give me a warning message saying unknown first name. So you can also set up different rules for this. So with the address, you can have address type specific rules, as I mentioned, spelling out the different components or controlling where the apartment number goes. With the name as well, if somebody put in Mr. John, you could say, well, for the prefixes that are Mr., Miss, and Mrs., these common prefixes, for the name, you can actually leave those off and set those null inside the database if you don't want to store those and only keep the significant prefixes. You can also control whether you want the period afterwards or not. So we're talking about consistency here in data standards. So whatever your data standard is at your institution can be applied to this. We have some default standards out of the box, but most institutions actually change those based upon their unique situation. Okay, and then the last component here is the email. So if I was to put in an email address that runner tech that doesn't exist, it'll actually come back and say that the DNS network test error, please retry. Actually, this is an issue with the network, so I'm not able to for some reason my VMware isn't connecting to the network. But it basically is checking the last domain name of this email address. So this portion right here to say, is this a valid emailable domain? And if not, it's going to warn the user. Again, it's just a warning message, so there's nothing to really override in that case. And you can also control whether you want your email addresses in all uppercase, all lowercase, or can leave them as they are. One other thing I'll just show you on the address page before we jump out of the demo here is I'll change the address from a primary back to an alumni now. And watch what happens to the different components on the address. So I've changed this to an alumni address, and it spells out the word South, and kept highway and suite the same, but that was basically how we coded that particular rule. So it's based on how you define that rule for the different address types of what it will do. I also mentioned if you have campus addresses or dorm room address types, you can prevent address verification on those types. Okay, I'm going to bounce out of the real-time demo real quick in the essence of time here and talk a little bit more about the integration, and we'll dive into the little bit of technical aspects. And again, I apologize about the late time here with the lag. Okay, so the real-time integration, we have about 21 banner forms we support. We have about 5 different web self-service processes, 11 tables for batch processing. But the extensibility here really is that you can use Clean Address for anything within your institution. If you have a parking permit application or a security application where the University Security Patrol gives out parking tickets on campus or something like that, you want to verify those addresses that are coming in from that system, you can extend those other systems to use Clean Address as well at no cost. If you already have an interface built for those other systems, there is a small upcharge for that. But if it's something that you just want to use some of our other tools that we provide in our APIs, you can actually use those at no additional charge. So it's enterprise-wide usage. There's also a flat text file processing. So let's say the admissions office has a list, or let's say you have a prospect list that you want to do a prospective mailing to for your institution of about maybe 10,000 local high school students. You could run those addresses through our clean file process or through our Excel add-in, which will basically update all the addresses in an Excel file using a similar method and verify those addresses before you do a prospective mailing. So this is all outside of Banner. These are just other add-ons that you get. We do have another data entry screen called Clean Entry. This can be used for integration with other non-Banner systems. So again, let's take that parking permit application. If you wanted to support real-time checking in there, but you didn't have access to the source code or the developers couldn't get around to it, you could get some licenses of Clean Entry and use that on top of the application to save the data. Okay, here's a list of the Banner forms we support. There's about, again, 21 in altogether. So from a technical perspective, we're really doing the integration at the lowest level. We're at this GOQ CLIB, if you see. What that means is when we do the integration at the GOQ CLIB level, all the other forms kind of carry along the integration for free. And then there's basically all your general person, or your finance, HR, emergency contact. You can basically see the list here. Everything's included. And we actually support those forms from even version 7 still all the way up to the latest version 8, 8 point whatever version, and still maintaining those. So there's some screenshots in here what the Banner Forms integration looks like. Those are basically for your review after when you're looking at this PowerPoint presentation after the fact, after the webinar today. For the self-service pages, there's the integration looks a little bit differently, but it behaves basically the same way. As you're typing an address into the web self-service page, it's verifying the address real time and showing a warning message right on the page, the web page, letting the student know that there's an issue. So there's admissions addresses, which include both student and parents address. The prospect page actually has 4 different addresses on it: the student, parent, high school, and college address. So we verify the addresses in all 4 of those different areas. And then there's everything related to Spratter, which is your student, HR, finance, alumni, emergency contact addresses, and transcript requests. So that's basically all the web self-service pages that have some sort of address entry. Now we do just support the address verification on the web self-service pages. We don't have the name, email, or telephone on the web self-service pages. Those are just for the power users in the back end. For batch processing, this is the list of the 11 tables that we support. We call them in-place or in-place batch updates for. The main one is Spratter. That's where the bulk of your student, HR, and alumni addresses are going to reside. But there's all these other tables as well: emergency contact, transcript requests. A lot of people ask about the SAT and ACT test score files or admissions data. So we have support for those tables as well. This is the SRT adder is used for your ACT, SAT test scores. So those can be verified before they're actually loaded into the system. And that will help with your matching and deduplication of that data when it's coming in. Okay, so after you've done a batch update, you want to kind of see, well, what did it do? So we provide quite a few reports out of the box. There's an address error summary report, which can just gives you a brief summary. It helps you put a stake in the ground and say, how clean or dirty is my database today? If you've never done address verification before, don't be surprised if you have, 20% of the addresses in the system have some sort of deliverability issue. It seems like over time, some of these databases are self-healing. So if you have a data entry error rate of 14 to 22%, well, when you get a bad address coming back, hopefully the department will do the due diligence and correct it. So, but it's a manual update in order to correct it. So you may have a little bit lower percentage rate, maybe 10%, but it's still some significant error rate. There's an address error detail report, which shows a detailed listing of all those addresses. So this is a great way to put a work list together for a department to go and correct those addresses that are invalid. We have a duplicate address report, compare address changes, and I'll talk a little bit more about radius search. That's a way that you can search for all the students surrounding a particular zip code or radius. So with the address error summary, you're basically going to see the different error codes that we provide back from the address checking. And there's only about a dozen or so that you're really going to see in common practice. The unknown street, range error, which is the house number out of range, street or apartment missing invalid. These are all kind of common mistakes that people make. The compare address changes report, this is really useful because it shows you before and after what the batch process is actually doing. So as you see in the first example here, they had only really added the avenue in here, but really Berkeley, with 1099 Berkeley as it is an invalid address because it's missing the street suffix. So we're adding that in there. And then you can see other changes in here as well, like this record here, Lakeside Drive, apartment 378 on Landers Line 2. After the update, it makes the drive abbreviated and moves the apartment to address line 1. So again, based upon what your standards are for those different address types. Okay, geocoding. This kind of goes back to the radius search. Geocoding gives you a latitude and longitude coordinate for an address. So this is used for computing distance and direction from between two different points. So the business questions that an institution may ask, well, here's two of them listed here. How many students live within 5 or 10 miles of the institution? Or how many alumni live within 50 miles of an event that you're getting ready to plan? So you can answer those questions very easily with a report that you can run, given it originating zip code and the data that's already in the system. It can pull back all the addresses within that range. Now we have a couple different levels of geocoding. We have a 5-digit zip code level, which is included with the basic suite, so it doesn't cost any extra. That gives you a zip code accurate between, if you're doing a distance calculation, you could have some error between 4 to 10 miles of distance because it's just based on the center of the zip code. The zip code is about 4 to 6 miles in diameter. We do have a 9-digit zip plus 4 level geocoding, which goes down much more accurate. That's a couple hundred yards of variance there. And then a near rooftop level option as well, which is the GeoPoints option. So what we've done is in the first slide that we showed in here in the presentation, we showed the Google Earth with all the different pin drops all over the place. We actually did that with the geocoding information. So you can actually take this data from geocoding and use it for Google Earth mashups, as you see right here. So maybe you're looking at, I'd like to see where all the alumni are living throughout the United States that have come from my school. Or maybe admissions is looking at, well, where are all the new applicants applying from throughout the United States? Maybe housing wants to know, well, show me all the registered students that are outside of maybe a 50-mile range. We want to reach out to them to provide some kind of housing information for them. So there you might need a little bit more accurate geocoding, but that's some pretty neat stuff you can do, and you can provide any information when you click on these little pin drops. For instance, here it's showing the information about that institution when you actually click on it. Okay, data enhancement services is kind of the complementary piece to Clean Address. So if you think of Clean Address, what it's doing really is verifying the addresses real time in both the interfaces, web self-service and Banner Forms, and you have batch processing, which cleans up the existing data in the database and your new batch files coming in. But that's working against the current post office database, which is in your data center. Change of address processing is the next step. So when people move, it tells you where they've actually moved to, the date that they moved, and whether it was an individual, family, or a business type move. And we also have other list enhancement options we can do, like phone append and email append. So with change of address processing, the statistic here is really that 18% of the population moves every year, which is kind of a high amount. But if you think about it with the students, it's probably even more than that. So if they're telling the institution every time that they move, that's great. But a lot of cases they're probably not. So you can actually be more proactive with them by doing NCOA runs. And we have schools that are doing this every quarter. The rule is with the post office, if you want to have get postal discounts, you should at least do an NCOA process at least every 95 days. And you also have to run your addresses through a CAS-certified engine to make sure that they're consistent. So that's the rules for getting a postage discount. The National Change of Address Processing, we have a built-in interface, a pre-built interface, if you will, for Banner that will export the data, import it into a staging table, and merge it back into your production data again, and then do all the reporting on it. All right. In the essence of time, I'm going to skip through those other options here. I'm just going to talk about the cell phone append here. Based upon your existing student data or any of your address data in your system, you can actually append the cell phone number and email address to those lists as well. That's the list enhancement. There's actually hundreds of other fields you can append as well. It's just that you may not have a place to store that other information, such as the presence of kids, whether the person rents or owns. There's all this other consumer data that you can append to your databases, and we have access to that too. Okay, I'm going to go into a little bit of the architecture, and first I'm going to check the question queue and see if there's any questions that have come in. We actually do have a couple here. The question was, is there additional charges for the NCOA processing? Great question. Yes, it is an additional option. It's a very low-cost option. The post office makes it very affordable to do NCOA processing, or makes it affordable for us to offer very reasonably priced NCOA processing. Most institutions provide this on or do this on a quarterly basis. We're actually coming up with some pricing that's basically prepaid for a year, so you can just handle it with one transaction. But currently, institutions do this as a pay-as-you-go type model. Okay, let's see, is there any other questions out here? Okay, I don't see any other questions. Let's see. Actually, there is one more here. I think it's good in the question. Okay, I'm going to jump in the architecture here, and I'm going to be cognizant of our time. I'm going to open up for any verbal questions here, maybe in the last couple minutes. The architecture, what we have is an enterprise service-oriented architecture. So what that means from those two different words, the enterprise architecture means basically 100% availability. We have the clean address server and post office database is installed in-house. It can be run on your existing hardware. Most people put this on their web self-service application server. It can run on any of the operating systems that you see here. These are the most common ones are Windows, Linux, and Solaris. We also support AIX and HP. Essentially, you can start up multiple servers to handle those processes from the Oracle database. Now, this is not a web service. We do have a clean address web service that can run as well that's used for other purposes. This is actually an Oracle process server that's setting up and reading the data from Oracle, similar to how AppWorks or UC4 works. It's using the Oracle pipes for the communication. The service-oriented architecture piece of it means basically with that single clean address server or redundant server that you set up, you can support all the